In a quiet, picturesque village nestled amidst rolling hills and lush forests stood an old church with a dark history that spanned generations. The villagers whispered about the chilling events that had transpired within its sacred walls, events that were etched into the very fabric of their town's lore. One evening, a group of curious teenagers decided to unravel the mysteries that shrouded the church, driven by a mix of bravado and morbid curiosity. They gathered at the church's entrance, their breath visible in the crisp night air, armed with flashlights and a sense of adventure that tingled in their bones. The moon cast an eerie glow upon the church's weathered facade, while the shadows seemed to dance menacingly in the corners. The air was heavy with an unsettling stillness as they cautiously stepped inside, their footsteps echoing through the empty sanctuary. The pews creaked beneath their weight, and the stained glass windows seemed to portray somber scenes from a distant past. Despite the chill that permeated the air, their excitement overshadowed their unease. They wandered through the pews, their flashlights revealing ornate carvings and dusty prayer books left behind by generations long gone. As the clock struck midnight, a hushed silence fell upon the group. It was then that one of the teens stumbled upon an old, dusty hymn book resting on the pulpit. Its pages were yellowed and brittle, the ink faded with age. They flipped through its pages, fingers tracing the lyrics of centuries-old hymns, until they discovered a hymn that seemed out of place, a hymn that was rumored to be cursed, whispered about only in hushed tones by the villagers. Ignoring the warnings they had heard, the teens exchanged glances and decided to sing it aloud. Their voices trembled at first, a mixture of nervousness and anticipation. As their voices filled the church, an otherworldly chill swept through the room, causing the flames of the candles to flicker and dance in response. The temperature dropped further, and a mist seemed to rise from the ground, shrouding their feet. But their singing continued, each note growing more discordant and unsettling, as if the very walls of the church were resisting their intrusion. The ancient timbers groaned in protest, and the flickering candlelight cast eerie shadows that seemed to sway to the rhythm of the haunting melody. The teens' fear grew with every passing second, but they couldn't stop singing. It was as if an unseen force compelled them to continue, ensnaring them in its grip. Then, as abruptly as it had begun, the singing ceased. The figures that had materialized in the darkness, the shadowy forms that had danced to the chilling melody, dissolved into the darkness, leaving behind an unsettling emptiness. The flashlights flickered back to life, and the teens stumbled out of the church, their hearts pounding, shaken and terrified by the night's events. They vowed never to speak of what they had witnessed, to bury the memory deep within their hearts. But the memory of those haunting hymns would forever linger in their nightmares, a reminder that some mysteries are better left unsolved, some curses better left unspoken. In a forgotten corner of a sprawling city, obscured by time and overshadowed by modernity, a decrepit church stood abandoned and overgrown with weeds. It was a relic of another era, its once grand architecture now weathered and worn, a somber reminder of the past. But this church held more than just architectural history. It held a dark secret, a secret that whispered of unspeakable acts and malevolent forces that had once dwelled within its walls. The legends surrounding the church were whispered among the city's few remaining old-timers. They spoke of the church's role in a sinister cult that had thrived in the shadows decades ago. Ritualistic sacrifices, summoning of demons, and dark ceremonies were said to have stained the very stones of the church. The stories were dismissed by most as the ramblings of senility, but those who had lived through that era knew better than to ignore the chilling tales. One day, a curious historian named Evelyn stumbled upon the church while researching the city's forgotten history. Drawn by her insatiable curiosity and fascination with the occult, she couldn't resist exploring the eerie structure. Beneath the weathered altar, she discovered a hidden entrance, an entrance that led to a subterranean chamber, a place that time seemed to have forgotten. Evelyn's heart raced as she descended into the darkness, flashlight in hand. The air grew cooler, and a musty scent hung in the air. Torches lined the chamber's walls, their dim light revealing shelves adorned with an array of ancient artifacts. Among them was a tarnished chalice, said to have once held the blood of sacrificial victims, a tattered book bound in human skin containing forbidden spells, and a statue with eyes that seemed to follow her every move. Intrigued and undeterred by the eerie atmosphere, Evelyn began to study the artifacts. Her days were spent poring over the tattered pages of the forbidden book, deciphering its cryptic incantations with a mixture of fascination and trepidation. Nights found her sitting before the statue, entranced by its haunting gaze as if it held the key to long-forgotten knowledge. But as the days turned into weeks, a darkness began to creep into Evelyn's mind. Her once brilliant thoughts grew clouded, and her obsession with the artifacts consumed her every waking moment. She withdrew from her friends, her colleagues, and even her family. The lines between reality and the occult grew blurred, and an air of malevolence seemed to surround her. One fateful night, a group of Evelyn's worried friends ventured into the abandoned church, determined to uncover the truth behind her sudden isolation. The air was heavy with a sense of foreboding as they entered the hidden chamber. The torchlight danced along the walls, casting eerie shadows that seemed to writhe and twist. What they discovered within the chamber sent shivers down their spines. There stood Evelyn, transformed and unrecognizable. Her eyes glowed with an unholy light, and her voice echoed with a haunting mixture of desperation and malevolence. She chanted incantations from the forbidden book, her words twisting the very air around her. The statue's eyes began to glow, casting an eerie light that illuminated the chamber. Shadows danced along the walls, and the temperature plummeted as an unseen force seemed to awaken. The friends rushed forward, calling out to Evelyn, but their pleas were drowned out by the power of the incantations. With a final guttural incantation, a vortex of darkness erupted from the artifacts. The ground trembled beneath their feet, and the church itself seemed to groan in protest. Evelyn was enveloped by the swirling darkness, her form disappearing as if consumed by a malevolent maw. The friends fled in terror as the church shook and quaked, as if the very fabric of reality was being torn asunder. The ground rumbled beneath them, and the walls seemed to close in with a sinister intent. And then, as suddenly as it had begun, the chaos ceased. The church stood silent once more, the entrance to the hidden chamber sealed as if it had never existed. To this day, the abandoned church stands as a chilling monument to the horrors that were unleashed by the unholy artifacts hidden beneath its altar. The tale serves as a warning to those who seek to unearth the forbidden and the ancient, a reminder that some secrets are best left undisturbed, for they hold the power to consume even the most brilliant minds in a vortex of darkness and despair. Thank you for watching. Remember, if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time to become an official member of this channel. Just click that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss out. If you haven't already, smash that like button to show your support, and let us know you're enjoying the content.